The camera system on the iPhone is probably one of the biggest selling points for the new models each year. I got the 13 Pro for a few reasons, including the telephoto lens and macro mode that aren't available on the other models. I'm really happy with it, but I do think that the camera feels a bit more limited than perhaps it needs to be. Apple want the photos and videos from the iPhone to look as good as possible, which is probably why the camera system feels like it's mostly locked on auto mode, without many advanced control options. We can't manage functions that are pretty standard on even the most basic cameras, like shutter speed, ISO, white balance, or manual focus, at least not in the default camera app, even if using the Pro RAW setting for photos or ProRes for videos. If you've ever struggled to get exact focus, had incorrect white balance, or strobing lights on a slow motion video, then you might have wanted at least some more manual control yourself. These aren't usually major problems, and the iPhone generally does a great job of deciding how the settings should be managed, but it's just a couple of examples of when I wish I could quickly switch to manual control. There are lots of third-party camera apps available for people who want more control over the cameras. I've tried a few but never found one I wanted to stick with for various reasons, mainly because I like the convenience of quickly accessing the camera app from the lock screen. Although it's fast and reliable, it does feel a bit bloated, almost as if Apple have added features over the years, thrown some buttons in to turn them on and off, but never really spent too much time considering the best layout for the controls. One example is the buttons at the top left for flash and night mode. The flash button lets you switch between auto and off, but you can't actually turn the flash on unless you bring up the hidden menu and set the flash on from there. With night mode, the button at the top left brings up the same slider that the button in the hidden menu does, so I can't see the point of having the button in both places, and the fact that it brings up a slider feels like a strange design choice when you have to slide between the fixed points but the stages in between don't do anything. These layout choices don't make the iPhone feel especially pro. But that said, for quickly capturing great photos and videos without too much thought or technical know-how, the latest iPhones are ideal. They take the guesswork away for those who just want to get the shot and not spend too much time worrying about settings, during which the moment might have passed or they might have got something wrong that ruined the image. They're always in our pockets, unlike bulky interchangeable lens cameras, and the improvements in hardware and software means that although the iPhone probably won't ever catch up to dedicated cameras, the gap is getting narrower all the time, but I think the lack of manual control and the less than ideal layout of the software keeps that gap a bit wider than it needs to be. The majority of iPhone users probably don't care too much about this, but to be deserving of the Pro name, I'd love to see Apple implement some advanced control options, perhaps a manual button that allows override of the settings for anyone who wants to use it to make adjustments for both photo and video. I think there are signs that Apple want to move in that direction. On the Pro models, we now have the ability to take Pro RAW DNG photos as well as ProRes video recording, but without the manual control, these features feel a bit underwhelming at this stage. Hopefully iOS 16, set to be introduced at the Apple Worldwide Developer Conference in June, will have some interesting and useful updates to the camera app. What do you think? Would you like to have more control of the iPhone camera system? Any other features you'd like to see? Or perhaps you're completely happy with the mostly automatic settings? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.